Me, finally, UFC 306. And this is all the breakdowns and predictions for all the fights in this card. This is a very interesting card. I'm kind of excited to see what the UFC has in plan for this year. So again, this is called the No Shade UFC Media season, which is I guess it's sponsored by the Saudis, but there's just a funny way of putting their name there. So yeah, starting the first fight with Raul Rosas Jr. versus Auri Chilang. So I'm not sure why the UFC has this to begin the card. Okay, I guess they really want to build up Raul Rosas Jr. slowly as a prospect, but he's getting an easier fight than his previous fight against Ricky Tercios. Um, Raul Rosas, right? I'm quite high on him. He's a really grappling phenom, and he has great submission skills and pressure. He is, I believe, the youngest prospect that the UFC had, and he's been given Auri as like a squash match here. The, this should be an easy fight for Raul Rosas Jr. I think he'll basically get the submission, and probably he'll win the first round. I just think that he has too much talent, and he's just a different level of fighter to Auri Chilang. So moving on, we have Edgar Chairez versus Joshua Fan. Okay, I gotta be honest, yeah, I don't really like this fight getting made. Edgar Chairez basically is getting a harder opponent. Uh, where than in Joshua Fan, and Joshua Fan is basically stepping up on a short notice fight, even though he was knocked out by Charles Johnson just 2 months ago. So Chairez, I think, is a pretty good grappler, and this seems like the classic grappler versus striker matchup. And Joshua Fan is a very good technical striker, and he was winning his fight against Charles Johnson before getting knocked out by the uppercut. But he is kind of undersized even as a flyweight, which is concerning. So I don't know. It's kind of hard to evaluate Edgar Chairez because he's only beaten Daniel Lacerda. But he's basically just a jobber, not a UFC level. But he did give Tatsuro Taira a competitive fight. So this is why I don't like this kind of fight getting made, because you kind of have the two prospects fighting against each other, and there's not much in their fight history where you can evaluate the two fighters and try to figure out who's significantly better. This is a hard pick for me, but I think I'm going to go with Edgar Chairez. I think his physical advantage will help him, and I just don't like that Joshua Fan is taking this fight on short turnaround. I especially after getting knocked out. Uh, I just think that Edgar Chairez, he should be able to utilize some grappling as well, and to basically win this fight by decision. So next fight we have Yasmin Paraguay against Kathleen Zuza. So Yasmin is a rising Mexican prospect, and I think she should win this fight pretty easily. I don't think Kathleen Souza is that good as an underdog to be able to get an upset here, especially at No Shade UFC. We know who the hometown fighters are. So um, I'm going to have Yasmin here to win, but the odds are just not worth it in this at minus 40 to 25. Okay, next fight we have Manuel Torres against Ignacio Bahamondes. So this is a very interesting matchup indeed. So Bahamondes is a tall, rangy striker, and he has good movement and good striking, but he's kind of a weight bully in this division. Okay, like here's the thing: the idea of Bahamondes just kind of falls short of what we thought he's capable of. I just feel that even though he has won quite a number of fights in the UFC, he's been kind of underwhelming. His loss to Ludovic Klein and John McDessie, the old the old bull, he lost to him. And this despite him having a big size advantage in his division. From what I see so far, he can beat low level opponents fairly easily, but his best win was just against Jay Ogden. I just felt that he always underperformed compared to what he should be capable of, considering his body and size advantage. In contrast, Manuel Torres, he's been very impressive so far. He's an aggressive fighter, and he has 3 wins and 3 finishes in the UFC. He looks pretty impressive so far. He looks like a killer. And I think I'm going to have to pick Manuel Torres here because so far that he's just looked more impressive in his fights. He looked more aggressive and more dangerous, always looking for a finish. And I just think that'll be enough to overcome the physical advantage of Ignacio Bahamondes. But I just think that this might be a quick fight, but I just think it's actually a very. It's, I wouldn't be surprised if Bahamondes win, because these two fighters, they are good. But I'm just going to pick Manuel Torres in this case. So the next fight we have Irene Aldana against Norma Dumont. Again, this card is full of fights that are pretty tricky and hard to predict. This is actually a tough one to predict. Watch some tapes and mm, Irene Aldana, she's one of the best strikers in women MMA, right? She has very good boxing, good striking. She's very precise and she has good power. But her weakness is her takedown defense in her ground game. And she does sometimes struggle against grapplers, and Norma Dumont is one of those strong grapplers. I do think that Dumont has a very good chance as an underdog, but we have seen her getting beaten up by good strikers like Jermaine de Randamie in the previous fight. But she was able to get enough takedowns and control time to get a victory. But on the feet, she was basically losing that fight, right? She was beaten up, I believe, by Megan Anderson too. Uh, so to me, that this is the classic striker versus grappler matchup where it could really go either way. I just think that Aldana is a step up from Jermaine in terms of opponent, and I just think that she can land enough damage before getting taken down by Dumont. And since she's the hometown fighter, they might score the damage more in favor of her. Uh, in favor of the control time. So yeah, I already know Aldana is my pick here, but this is a tricky one. I wouldn't be surprised if Norma Dumont won because she is a good female fighter. All right, next fight we have Ronaldo Rodriguez versus Ode Osborne. All right, Ronaldo. So why is Ronaldo in the main event of this card? Well, it's because it's no show UFC. Mm, so yeah, the UFC is giving this another Mexican fighter with only one win, the UFC, a main event spot. And he's kind of giving him a very favorable matchup in Ode Osborne. You see, uh, Ode Osborne, he was really, really disappointing in his last fight against Jafel Filio. He basically did not land a single strike against Jafel, who took him down immediately. And Osborne, he offered no resistance at all. And he was just submitted easily in the first round. So there is a clear path to victory for Ronaldo here if he follows that blueprint like Jafel did. He needs to test Osborne's grappling defense immediately, something that is very weak at. And I really have no faith that he's been taking the time to improve the aspect of his game. It's quite baffling since he actually has 5 fights in the UFC so far. So I just hope that Lazy Boy doesn't disgrace the name of Ronaldo by, fooling around and not taking this fight to the ground right away. So yeah, I have Ronaldo to win this fight. Next fight, we have Daniel Selhuber versus Esteban Ribovic. Now, this is a very exciting fight because these two fighters are really good. Daniel Selhuber, right? He's a good first-style fighter, and he's lengthy, he has range, and he's very good at managing distance. As we saw against his previous fight against Francisco Prado, he showed that he could use his jab effectively. And in his previous fights, he showed that he had good submission skills on the ground as well, and he's a jiu-jitsu black belt. He did that pretty impressive anaconda choke on Christos Giagos. His only loss came to Trey Ogden, which is not a shame because Trey Ogden is actually a very good, gritty veteran who somehow is always an underdog. So Esteban Ribovic is very good kickboxer, right? He basically knocked out McKinney in the 37 seconds. But McKinney is like the definition of glass cannon. Uh, Ribovic is the one in the UFC so far. He did lose to Lloyd Razabov. I just think that Sel Huber is gonna win here because he has the reach and height advantage. This will enable him to basically use that range and stay away from the powerful strikes of Esteban Ribovic. I just think that he could also go through the grappling route, which is what I think he should do. He should use his superior grappling to basically get more control time on him and probably a submission. So I just think that Sal Huber is the better all-round fighter than Esteban Ribovic. And again, he's the hometown fighter. So that's another advantage for him. So yeah, I'm going to pick Sal Huber here. I just think that, in my estimation, I just think he's the better fighter than Ribovic, and I think he will show that on Sunday night. All right, the next fight we have Brian Ortega versus Diego Lopez. This is going to be one exciting fight. What I think is one man's misfortune is another man's fortune. I think that Diego Lopez was actually really lucky that Brian Ortega pulled out of that fight from UFC 303 because there was supposed to be a 5-round co-main event, right? But we saw Diego Lopez. He barely survived against Dan Ige in the third round. He basically ran out of gas, even though it was a 3-round fight. And had that been a 5-round matchup, I really think that Dan Ige would have mounted a comeback because Diego Lopez, he was just out of gas tank by that point. Um, Diego Lopez is actually one of my favorite fighters in the UFC. I've been very impressed with him. He has powerful striking and a very, very dangerous ground game as a black belt jiu-jitsu black belt. He is a very, very talented fighter, I think, and he's big for his in this division. Uh, in, I would compare him to someone like Kamsat in terms of he's very, very dangerous in the first round. He could finish anyone the first round, but he's built in a way that he doesn't have the gas tank, the endurance, to basically fight to basically maintain his energy in the late round. So, but the good thing is this fight is basically just a 3 rounds, and Brian Ortega he's great at grappling himself, but he's kind of a slow starter. He's someone who actually gains momentum the longer the fight goes, and even though he's elite and he only loses to elite fighters like Hulk and Max Holloway, I just think that he's kind of old. And in terms of talent, I just think that Lopez has more talent than him. I'm just going to trust Diego Lopez on his finishing ability here. I think he will get this done. I think he will at least win 2 rounds or he'll get the knockout. Actually, I think he'll get a knockout. Yeah, I really believe that in striking is where Diego Lopez really had the advantage in this fight. And I think it'll be smart of him to try and find the knockout early because Ortega is someone you don't want to hang around with because this veteran he gets better and he adapts to his opponent's styles. So I think Diego Lopez will get the first round knockout here, and he should be a contender. He should be if he wins. I think he needs to fight for a title next. All right. So the next fight we have for the co-main event, we have the flyweight championship again between Alexa Grasso and Valentina Shevchenko. So this is a rematch of the No Shade UFC last year, and I was really rooting hard for Alexa Grasso, and she really impressed me with her tough, never say die attitude and her skills. Even though I think that Shevchenko basically should have won that fight, but the judge gave her 10-8 to Alexa Grasso in that last round after Valentina Shevchenko gave her back again, Can you believe it? Like this the second time she choked that fight. Um, I have to admit, even though I'm a fan of Alexa Grasso, okay, that was a robbery. Valentina Shevchenko deserved to win that. And fast forward a year, the UFC is giving us this rematch of that epic 5 round fight. So if I look at the stats, Alexa Grasso actually had the better part of exchanges when it comes to striking. I think she basically landed more strikes than Shevchenko, and she did hurt Shevchenko a few times when they were standing up. Where Shevchenko had the clear advantage is she had a huge advantage in grappling and landing the takedowns and basically getting control time. Uh, Grasso is going to need to show serious improvement in her takedown defense if she wants to basically win this fight. I just don't like the long layoff that she had between her previous fight. It was basically like a year ago, right? There was this exact fight a year ago, and I just don't know if she has improved that aspect of the game. Now, she might have one win and one draw against Shevchenko, but I just think that in the totality of the two fights, Shevchenko has been the superior fighter if you're just looking at round by round. It's just that she just choked twice, literally. She just did that spinning move and basically get her back taken. In the first fight, she was choked out. And in the second, basically, she was almost finished again, saved by the bell in the fifth round. So I think her coaches should basically just ban her from, those spinning attacks. But I really think that Shevchenko, in terms of skills, okay, we know she's old, but she didn't fight anyone during this time, so she is giving herself fresh. I just think she's the superior fighter, and it just doesn't feel right for me that she's winless against Grasso despite like winning more rounds. Uh, this is a very tough fight to call, but I'm really going to go against the majority of the picks. And even though she's uh in Alexa Grasso is basically the hometown fighter, I just think that Shevchenko will finally get a revenge and retake the title. This I might look stupid after for making this prediction, but I really really believe that unless Grasso made like a drastic improvement to a takedown defense, I just think that this will be a repeat of the two fights, and Shevchenko does have a clear path to victory. She can utilize a grapple heavy game plan and basically stop those silly spinning attacks. All right, and finally we have the main event that we've been waiting for, right? Sean O'Malley versus Marab Devashvili. So I've been really high on Sean O'Malley even when he was a prospect. I actually picked him to beat Aljo, despite him being the underdog. I just think that he's underrated because of his colorful hairstyle and his unconventional lifestyle. With him sharing his wife and all that. But I just think that in the division, he's the best striker in this division, hands down. Like, I always thought that nobody's gonna beat Sean O'Malley by striking in this division. He just has that excellent timing, just like Conor McGregor, and just that he's very accurate and he has the range. He just knows how to execute those strikes and basically hurt his opponent. And he's actually a decent grappler in terms of being able to defend a takedown. And actually, initially, I thought Marab was going to beat Sean O'Malley. Actually, I was going to pick Marab initially. But there's just been too many red flags with this guy. Uh, Apparently, he had that episode where he was posting the picture where he got cut. And even Dana White was talking about it, like how stupid it is. And you can bet that Sean O'Malley is definitely going to target that area so that, to reopen the cut, which will be good for him. It'll get him lots of points if he can make Marab bleed again easily by just reopening the cut. And apparently there's pictures showing that Marab has staph infection, and if he has to take antibiotics, that will affect his cardio. And Marab's number one weapon is his cardio. what is Marab if his cardio is compromised? So that's another red flag to me. There's just a bunch of red flags coming in that uh it made me rethink the fight. Right, this is like I don't really do this usually, but this is the one time where I went 180 and just you know switch my pick from one fighter to the other, just because there's just too many red flags with that one fighter. I really believe that the day when O'Malley lose is he's going to lose to a grappler. Someone's going to out grapple him and basically he might submit him or just play and prey on him. But no one's going to beat him by striking, I think, in this division. But yeah, I believe that Sean O'Malley is going to win this one, just because I think his Marab's kind of compromised. I don't think it's 100%. Uh, I just think that Sean O'Malley is going to get knocked out here. He'll have plenty of chances to basically find his target in this 5 round matchup. So I believe Marab is just going to get caught, and him with the staph infection and all the other issues, I think it's just going to go against him. So yeah, I'm going to go with my boy Sean O'Malley against to win, and he's going to win by knockout. Uh, I'm really interested, to see the presentation for this fair. I don't really have high hopes of it. I think it'll kind of look weird, I just don't think that the event is made for UFC fights, but it'll be interesting anyway. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to these fights, and click like and subscribe if you like